All right, so today we're diving into something a little different.
Mm.
Sophie's World,
Okay.
which is basically a crash course in philosophy, but it's disguised as a mystery novel.
Right.
I know philosophy can sound a bit intimidating to some people,
Yeah,
but this deep dive is all about making it fun and interesting and thought-provoking,
for sure.
and we have an expert here to help us connect the dots.
Absolutely.
So what do you think is the most interesting part of how this book introduces us to philosophy?
Well, I think it kind of throws you right into the deep end with a concept that still blows my mind.
No.
The Big Bang.
Yeah.
You know, imagine all matter in the universe packed into this tiny little point, and then
Wow.
it explodes outwards, and it's still expanding today.
Yeah.
That's where everything, including us,
you right
began.
into the deep end
I
with
mean,
a concept
that
that
already
still
makes you look at the
blows my
night sky
mind.
differently.
Absolutely.
The Big Bang.
Right? It's not just
Yeah.
twinkling
You know, imagine
stars.
No.
all
It's a
matter in the
glimpse,
universe
billions of
packed
years
into
into
this
the past.
tiny
Yeah,
little
it's
point,
incredible.
and then
But here's the
Wow.
catch.
it
With
explodes
Sophie's
outwards,
World,
and it's still expanding
it
today.
throws a mystery
Yeah.
into the mix,
That's
too.
where everything,
Right.
The main
including
character,
us, right into the
Sophie.
deep
Yeah.
end
I mean,
with a
she starts to
concept
realize that already
that
makes you
still
look at
blows
the
my
night
mind.
sky
World
differently.
might not
The
be
Big
what it
Bang.
seems.
Right? It's
It's
not just
almost
twinkling
like, imagine
stars.
the
No.
all
It's a
matter in the
glimpse.
universe
Billions of
packed
years
into
into the past.
itself.
Okay.
Like, could our
Yeah.
little
Perception
point,
of
and then
But here's the
Wow.
catch.
totally off.
Interesting.
You know, the book uses this analogy of a white crow,
Uh-huh.
something that's so unexpected it makes
It's real.
exactly. How do we know?
Okay, so we have this really interesting mystery going on.
Yeah.
And to try and solve it, we need to go back to the roots of philosophy.
Yes.
Where better to start than ancient Greece.
Exactly.
The book introduces us to Socrates,
Right.
who's this really influential figure
Oh, yeah.
whose ideas still have meaning today, even though he never wrote anything down.
That's right.
All we know about him comes from his student, Plato.
Yeah, his most famous student.
Socrates was known for always questioning everything,
Uh,
even societal norms.
He was a real gadfly.
And that got him into some trouble, right?
Absolutely. He was eventually sentenced to death for challenging the status quo.
Wow.
Which just shows the courage it takes to go after the truth and question what everybody else just accepts
Yeah.
without even thinking about it.
And then we have Plato,
Yes,
who takes Socrates' ideas even further with his theory of forms.
that's right.
Can you break that down a little bit?
Sure. Well, imagine you're looking at the shadow of a chair.
Okay.
Plato would say that the shadow is what we see as reality,
Okay.
but the true form of the chair,
Hmm.
the perfect and unchanging essence of it, exists somewhere else.
Whoa.
So like the chair you're sitting on right now is just a pale imitation of the true ideal chair.
So you're saying that there might be this, like, perfect version of everything out there?
That's the idea.
Wow. That's a lot to think about.
It is a very heavy concept.
Does that mean that our whole perception of reality could be totally wrong?
That is the question that Sophie's World wants you to ask. It doesn't stop there, though. The book takes us on a journey through different eras of philosophy,
Right.
exploring how these big ideas shape how we understand the world.
So we're talking about like a whirlwind tour.
Yeah.
From ancient myths
Mm-hmm.
to modern problems.
Absolutely.
One of the big changes the book shows us is that move
Yeah,
from relying on mythology to explain the world
right.
to the start of philosophical thought.
It's a really important shift in thinking.
So instead of saying Thor's hammer caused the thunder,
Right.
philosophers started to look for more natural explanations.
Yeah, they started to really observe the world around them
Yeah.
and search for underlying principles that govern natural events.
Like what kind of principles?
Well, thinkers like Thales,
Okay.
Anaximander,
Mm-hmm.
Empedocles,
Okay.
they all proposed different elements that they thought everything was made of.
Interesting.
Like water or this boundless primordial substance.
Okay.
Or a combination of earth, air, fire, and water.
Wow, that's a big change.
Yeah.
It really makes you wonder, though.
Yeah.
Do we still hold on to any mythological thinking, even today?
That is an interesting question.
Right.
Yeah.
Even in our scientific age?
I think maybe we do, but in a more subtle way.
Okay.
For example, think about the stories we tell ourselves about success or happiness
Mm-hmm.
or even the meaning of life.
Mm-hmm.
Are those ideas based on evidence and reason?
Right.
Or are they more influenced by cultural myths and narratives?
Wow. You're right. That's something to think about.
It's a good question to ask ourselves.
And Sophie's World doesn't shy away from these big existential questions.
Not at all.
It covers everything.
Yeah.
From the clash between faith and reason during the medieval period
Mm-hmm.
to the revolutionary ideas of the Renaissance and the scientific revolution.
It's a wild ride through intellectual history.
So we go from thinking about God and the soul
Right.
to questioning the whole structure of the universe.
It's a lot to cover.
It really is.
But Sophie's World does a good job of weaving all these ideas together,
Yeah.
showing how they're all connected.
Okay.
It's like piecing together a giant puzzle
Mhm.
where each philosophical concept is a clue that helps us understand the bigger picture.
And as we go deeper into this puzzle, we start to see how these ideas connect to our own lives.
Absolutely.
Right.
The book really challenges us to examine our own beliefs,
Yeah.
our values,
Mhm.
and our assumptions about the world.
Okay.
It's like an invitation to engage in the same kind of critical thinking that Socrates and Plato were doing centuries ago.
Yeah.
That's the real power of Sophie's World.
I like that.
It's not just about learning about philosophy.
Right.
It's about applying these ideas to our own lives and our own understanding of the world.
I think that's a great place to wrap up this first part of our deep dive into Sophie's World.
It sounds good to me.
Okay, so we've gone through centuries of philosophical thought,
Yeah.
from the Big Bang to ancient Greece. But remember, there's a mystery happening in Sophie's World,
Right.
alongside all these big ideas.
It's like a parallel track.
Yeah, exactly.
And that mystery really starts to pick up speed as we go deeper into the book.
Okay.
Things get a little weird,
Yeah.
and it starts to hint that Sophie's World might be more fluid and less stable than we first thought.
Right. It's not just about learning about philosophers anymore.
No.
It's about questioning the nature of reality itself.
Exactly.
One of the big turning points is when Sophie finds this postcard
Oh, yeah.
addressed to another girl, Hilda Moller-Nag.
That's a big moment.
What's so strange is that this postcard isn't from outside of Sophie's world.
Right.
It's found within it.
Like it slipped through a crack or something.
Yeah, it's like it slipped through a crack in reality.
Uh-huh.
And the sender is none other than Albert Naghild's father.
Who just happens to be a UN major stationed in Lebanon.
Wait, so we have this whole other layer of reality with characters we haven't even met yet.
It's getting more complex.
Yeah. It's like the author is playing with our perception
Mhm.
of what's real and what's not.
Yeah, exactly. Sophie's World blurs the lines between fiction and reality, and it makes us ask,
Yeah.
who's really in control here?
Right.
Is it Sophie? Is it the author?
Yeah.
Or is it some force we haven't even thought about yet?
It's like those Russian nesting dolls,
Right.
where you open one and there's another one inside.
Exactly.
But what does all this mean for Sophie?
Okay.
How does she react to all this strange stuff?
Well, as Sophie starts to understand more complex philosophical concepts,
Yeah.
she becomes more aware of these strange things that are happening around her.
Okay.
And she even tries to leave coded messages for Hilda's.
Hmm.
Like she's trying to break through the walls of their separate realities.
So it becomes this philosophical puzzle inside of another puzzle,
Yeah.
and we're stuck trying to figure out the connections
Right.
between Sophie's world,
Uh-huh.
Hilda's world,
Mm-hmm.
and this mystery author who seems to be pulling the strings.
It's a real head scratcher.
That's what makes Sophie's world so engaging.
Yeah.
It's not just passively learning.
Yeah.
It's like you're actively involved in this mystery.
You're part of the story.
Yeah, and it unfolds right alongside the philosophy.
That's what keeps you hooked.
You know, it kind of reminds me of that white crow analogy.
Oh, yeah.
It's like the author is throwing in these unexpected things
Mhm.
to challenge what we think is possible.
It's like the author is saying, don't take anything for granted.
Yeah.
Be open to the idea that reality might be a lot stranger than you think.
So as we try to figure out the mystery of Sophie's world,
Yes.
we have to also face the limits of our own understanding.
Yeah. It's a humbling experience for sure.
But even with all this weirdness in philosophy,
Yeah.
Sophie's own life keeps going.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like her personal experiences start to reflect some of the ideas she's learning.
Absolutely. For example, her relationship with her mother starts to get complicated.
Oh, wow. So,
As Sophie tries to explain all the crazy things happening to her,
okay.
it highlights this tension between the normal world
Mm-hmm.
and the possibility of something much more extraordinary.
Yeah, I can only imagine trying to explain to my mom that I think I'm living in a philosophy textbook.
Right. It'd be a tough conversation.
It sounds like Sophie's understanding of philosophy is changing how she sees her own life,
Oh, yeah.
her choices,
Mhm.
her identity.
Absolutely. She starts to feel what philosophers call existential angst.
What's that?
It's this feeling of unease
Okay.
that comes with realizing you have the freedom to make your own choices.
Mhm.
And you're responsible for those choices.
Wow, that's heavy.
Yeah. It's like she's suddenly the main character in her own philosophical drama.
And just when you think things can't get any weirder,
What happens?
the book throws in another curveball.
Okay.
A random encounter with Little Red Riding Hood.
No way.
Yeah, on her way to Grandma's house.
That's so out of left field.
It's so random, but it's brilliant. Because it ties back into the book's exploration of fate and free will.
Oh, I see.
Is Little Red Riding Hood just going to repeat the same story?
Right.
Or can she choose a different path?
That's the question.
It makes you wonder if we're all just playing out these roles,
No.
or if we can break free from the story.
That's a big philosophical question.
Speaking of interesting characters,
Okay.
what about Alberto Knox?
Sophie's philosophy teacher.
Yeah, his role seems to be more than just a guide through philosophy.
You're right. There's something mysterious about him.
Right.
Like, is he just helping Sophie learn? Or is he connected to the bigger mystery?
We're left to wonder.
It keeps you guessing.
So as these lines between reality and fiction keep getting blurred,
Yeah.
we're left trying to figure out what Sophie's world really is.
Right.
Is it all just a story?
Mm-hmm.
Or is it a glimpse into something bigger?
Something more real.
A deeper, more mysterious reality that connects to our own.
Those are the kinds of questions Sophie's world makes us ask.
And I think those are really important questions to ask.
Yeah.
It challenges how we see things.
Uh-huh.
It makes us think differently.
It opens up our minds to new possibilities.
Now, one theme that keeps coming up
Yeah.
is this idea of connection.
Interconnectedness.
Yeah, exactly. It pops up everywhere.
It's a thread that runs through the whole book.
From the Big Bang
Mm-hmm.
to the blurring of realities between Sophie and Hild.
It makes you think about how everything might be connected
On a much deeper level.
than we realize.
Yeah, think about the Big Bang.
Okay.
All matter coming from one single point.
It's mind-blowing.
Or the Greek philosophers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Searching for that one basic substance.
The fundamental building block of everything.
Right.
Yeah.
We even see this idea of connection in mythologies.
Oh, absolutely.
Like the Norse myths.
Okay.
Where what the gods and giants do affects humans.
You're right.
Or the Greek myths.
Uh-huh.
Where natural events are blamed on the gods.
They're all connected.
As Sophie goes on this journey, she starts to experience this connection herself.
Okay.
The postcards,
Mm-hmm.
the strange happening,
The blurring of the lines.
it all points to this deeper web of connection.
That she's only just starting to understand.
It's like she's realizing that her actions
Mhm.
and her thoughts
Mm-hmm.
have ripple effects.
They affect more than just her.
Yeah, and they might affect other people in ways she never imagined.
It's a powerful concept.
It really makes you think about moving beyond just your own individual world.
Yeah.
And considering how your choices affect everything else.
If everything is connected.
Then our actions have consequences that reach far beyond ourselves.
It's a big responsibility.
This leads us to a huge moment in Sophie's world
What's that?
when Sophie realizes
Yeah.
that she might just be someone else's imagination.
Whoa. Talk about an existential crisis.
Right. It makes you question everything.
It really does.
It makes Sophie and us as readers
Mm.
think about some really fundamental questions.
About reality.
Yeah.
Consciousness.
And the power of storytelling.
It's deep stuff.
If Sophie's just a character in a story,
Right.
does she really have free will?
Mm.
Or are her actions already decided by the author?
That's a tough one.
It makes you wonder,
Yeah.
are we all just characters
In a bigger story?
controlled by forces we don't even know about?
The book doesn't give us any easy answers.
Yeah.
But it makes us think about these questions.
Okay.
And what it would mean
Uh-huh.
to live in a world where reality and fiction are mixed up.
And I have a feeling those lines are about to get even more blurred
Oh, yeah.
as we head into the last part of our deep dive into Sophie's world.
Can't wait.
We left off with Sophie and Alberto taking this huge leap
Yeah.
out of their fictional world.
Right.
And now they're facing this whole new set of problems.
It's like they went from one mystery to another.
Yeah, exactly.
They're free from the author controlling them,
Mm-hmm.
but now they're stuck in this strange place
Okay.
where they're invisible to everyone except each other.
Right.
And this place is somehow connected to Hild's world.
It's like all those postcards that Sophie found.
Yeah.
They weren't just random.
No.
They were like clues.
Like breadcrumbs.
Yeah, leading Sophie and Alberto to Hilde.
Uh,
The author was setting up this meeting
yeah.
across different realities.
That's pretty wild.
It makes you think,
Yeah.
what if our lives are also influenced by things we can't even see?
That's a thought.
Like maybe there are connections and coincidences we
Right.
just don't notice.
Right?
Sophie's world seems to be saying there's more to reality
Mm-hmm.
than what we see on the surface.
Then meets the eye.
But where does all this leave Sophie and Alberto?
Good question.
They're free,
Yeah.
but they're kind of trapped.
They can see Hild's world,
Yeah.
but they can't interact with it.
Remember that part
Oh, yeah.
where they try to grab a Coke and a coffee,
Uh-huh.
but their hands just go right through the bottles?
It's like they're ghosts.
Yeah.
Watching everything, but can't touch anything.
But they're not giving up, are they?
No, they're not.
They use what they know about the story
Okay.
to leave these little clues for Hilde.
Hmm.
They want her to figure out they exist.
It's like a puzzle.
It's like they're playing chess
Right.
with the author,
Yeah.
trying to guide Hilde to the truth.
Yeah.
Hilda starts having these strange feelings,
Okay.
like premonitions,
Hmm.
almost as if Sophie's thoughts are leaking into her reality.
It's like their minds are connected,
Yeah.
sending ripples across their different worlds.
And those ripples get really strong
Yes.
on Hilde's 15th birthday.
Why is that?
That's when she gets a special gift from her dad,
What is it?
the story of Sophie's world.
Whoa, a story within a story.
It's like those nesting dolls again.
It really is.
As Hilde reads the story,
Yeah.
she starts to see the connections between her life
Mm-hmm.
and Sophie's journey.
She's waking up to a whole new reality.
She realizes she's not just reading a story. She's part of this big philosophical play.
She's a character in the story.
As Hilde becomes more aware of Sophie and Alberto,
Yeah.
they become more real in her world,
It's like their shared consciousness creates a bridge.
between their realities.
The author's showing us that connection.
Yeah.
And awareness can go beyond any limits.
Then things get really intense
Oh, yeah.
when Sophie and Alberto decide to confront the author.
Wow, they're done with his games.
And they're so clever about it.
How did he do it?
They cause a little accident,
Okay.
a distraction.
Mm.
So Sophie can whisper a message
To
Hilde.
the wind.
Yeah.
Can Hilde even hear that?
She's super aware now.
That's amazing.
It's like a moment of pure magic.
It really is.
It's like free will and
Yeah.
connection winning.
Right.
Even when it seems like the story's already written,
Yeah.
there's always room for surprises,
For agency.
for connecting.
It's a beautiful message.
So Sophie's world ends,
Mm-hmm.
but it leaves us with this feeling
Of what?
of wonder and possibility.
Yeah.
Sophie and Alberto escape their fictional world.
Right.
Hilde's eyes are open to a new reality.
And the author,
Yeah.
he's lost control.
He let go.
It's like he learned something too.
The lines between worlds are blurred.
Yeah.
Minds are connected,
Uh-huh.
and the mystery of existence is still out there. For me, Sophie's world reminds me that reality,
Yeah.
it's more flexible than we think.
It's not so rigid.
And stories,
Huh.
philosophy,
Yeah.
imagination,
Mm-hmm.
these things can change how we see the world.
And how we see ourselves.
It's a call to be curious,
To question
to
everything.
keep looking for those hidden connections.
And deeper meanings.
This journey of philosophy
Yeah.
doesn't end when you finish the book.
It's just the beginning.
Sophie's world is a great place to start.
It's a wonderful introduction to the world of philosophy.
So if this deep dive made you
If
think,
you want to know more,
if you want to explore,
if you're curious,
that's the real gift of this book.
that's the magic of Sophie.